Hey everybody, we have an intro video now. In fact, we have a couple of things. I'm gonna wait for a few folks to show up and I'll share what all we got. I'll probably have to demo these a couple of times because people come in at different times during the stream, but we have a number of new video cues with music thanks to my brother. And so basically Jack put together, he was watching the stream yesterday and he put together a couple of tracks. If you were on the stream yesterday, you heard the commit pushed one. So then I found Placeit, which is this like service that makes a bunch of easy to kind of these templates for videos that like YouTubers can use. And so I took his music and I put them to these sort of cues. And so we got 3 right now. We got the intro video, which I played at the opening of the stream, but I'll play it again. Pretty fancy. And then we got some break music and a break screen. So here we go. If I'm ever taking a break, need to go to the, take 5 to eat some lunch or something. Got this one. Pretty good. And now whenever we make a new commit, here we go. This one's my favorite.
CTZN.
Isn't that cool? I love that thing. The only downside is because I'm using OBS, I can't hear it myself. I know it's playing the cue, and I love the cue, the sound, but I can't hear it. So, because it's piping into the stream. But on the plus side, that means I can like listen to music and run that cue at any time. Isn't that the best? Let's do it again.
CTZN.
Yes. Hey Tony Go, welcome to the stream. I think this is your first time joining us. So we are decked out. We are getting some production values in here. I'm going to say in the chat, if you're just joining, it's a bit loud. Yeah, I noticed that. It is the commit is a bit loud. I'll have to, I'll try to work on that. Okay, let me try turning up the gain on my mic. How am I now? Am I a little bit better? Do I sound like I'm at the right level? Well, I can see the levels in OBS, and at the current gain that I've got, actually let me try, how about there? Yeah, I'm now, that puts me into the red just a little bit. So maybe about right here, I'm just tapping at it. Does that sound better? It has noise? Really? That may... Is it noise like some background like hissing? Because that may just be the heater. Or does it sound like it's crackling or something? Why don't I take the hardware gain down just a little bit and then take the software back up. Up, testing, 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 testing. Okay, how do I sound now? The trick is, yeah, I mean, I really just need to turn the audio down on the new commit queue, which, you know what? Let's play it again.
CTZN.
Ooh, that was totally maxing out in the red. Yeah. Well, apologies to everybody. That cue will be a little bit loud for today's stream, but after the stream, I'll tweak that audio. Because I was just this time I was watching the the bars and it was just red the whole time. Oh no. Okay. So what are we actually doing today? We have to actually earn our new commit queue now. Red ain't bad. Yeah, but this was like maxed. It was just slammed to the side. Okay, so what are we doing? I have until 1 p.m. A little before that, actually, 12:30. I gotta probably stop, which is about 3 hours and 15 minutes. Because today actually is the .com. I'll share a link to all that when we get a little bit closer. Actually, why don't I share a link to that now? Yeah, today, thank you, Micro, DD Pixel, for setting me straight on that one. So that's today. So, that link there has time zones for all the different for the ComCom. So feel free to join us there. But anyway, that means that we can only get a few hours of work done. We are going to start by trying to introduce some more sophistication into the user database loading mechanism. If you recall from the end of last stream, we basically have a scenario where anytime a user is hosted by the server, it needs to be loaded up. But anytime a user is also followed by one of the users in the server's user set, they also need to be loaded up. And so there's going to be a couple of steps we need to accomplish for that. One of them is we need to introduce ID lookup. We need to kind of like map a given user URL, user DNS ID to their database ID. And then we'll do that with WebFinger. The other thing we're going to need to do is sort of dynamically react to the current list of followed users and load and unload the databases as needed. So I'm going to start with the user ID resolution. So this will be in the fetch database URL code. That's going to now need to be asynchronous. And we're going to use node fetch, which means that's no longer just a dev dependency. Hey, Miguel. Welcome back to the stream. Okay, so we need to look at... Need to parse the user ID. No worries, Sully. Welcome back. Sully, you gotta do your playback and see the beginning of the stream. Boots and Captain Citizens. Okay. So that, so far so good, but this bit right here, a little bit of a problem for when we're testing. We need to figure out how to deal with lookups in a test environment. That's a little bit of a pain. On my web finger. Yeah. So this is an interesting question. We need to change. We're coming into this with user IDs which look like bob@server.com, but when we're testing, there'll be, dev1.localhost. The easy part is, noticing that it says localhost and switching to HTTP. The hard part is we need to figure out the port. And we don't have that information. One way we could handle that. We're currently getting a random. Not possible to self-sign HTTPS locally. I suppose it is, but that's way more trouble than that's worth. That's not really the problem. The problem is properly looking up the port. And honestly, that's complicated for a lot of reasons. I think what we need to do is set up an internal mapping for testing, in which, not only do we need using stuff like dev1.localhost. We can do that if we have control over the etc hosts file, but that's actually a real pain to have to set up, a bunch of domains in your etc hosts if you want to run the tests. So we need a couple of things. We basically need a this is what we need. If we're going to maintain a test ports map, and it's going to look like this. dev1.localhost will always be port 15.001. We'll do it like this. I'm setting up an answer that means we won't need to fuck with etc hosts at all. Instead, what we're going to do is we need to use names like this so that there are unique origins for every server and like user IDs and stuff inside the tests. But when we're actually sending requests, we're always going to drop the subdomain and map to a fixed port for our tests. And so it'll be done like that. There we go. And then over here, we'll automatically set up the port like that. So then over in our tests, we get rid of the random port lookup, and we never send in the port. Now let's see if that successfully runs. Looks like it does. So while that is running, let's modify end server. So that should solve that problem. Now let's test our user ID lookups. Can't do that yet. Okay, that didn't work. We went wrong. Address already in use. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Miguel. Not sure what could be causing that. But on the plus side, in the case of CTZN, you'll be able to use some intermediary servers that will hopefully save you from this particular problem. So why don't we just add, perhaps temporarily, we'll see a user's .lookup db URL. And let's run some tests. work. You know what that means.
CTZN.
AJ World, welcome back to the stream. Get myself some water. 1 second. I could script that so it happens automatically. I would have to come up with like a Git hook that's able to communicate with OBS, which, you know, it might be more trouble than it's worth because all I have to do is click a button. And I use the, there's an advanced scene switcher plugin which I was able to use to automatically transition out of it so that it's just click one button, it runs, and then goes back to the stream. OBS can be controlled by WebSockets. OBS is an amazing piece of software. It's really good. Okay, so now we got the user DNS ID lookup implemented. The next thing we need to do is set up the database layer so that it is correctly maintaining a user list and correctly loading user databases as needed. So let's see. There's a couple of things we need to do. One of them is we need to start swarming our Hyper-Bs. As well as our blob hypercores. Make sure that's working okay. And Okay. The server maintains a secondary index of the social graph right here. You know what just occurred to me? If we have the watch process running on any server that does secondary indexing, in fact we do, I bet that's why things are so inefficient, because that's probably triggering index runs on whenever the secondary indexes are updated. So that's interesting. That's lots of efficiency pickups for us in the future. So we got the server secondary index of follows. Which means that we have a way to quickly get a list of all of the URLs that are currently followed by your network, which is good, and we know whenever it changes, because it changes right here. Okay, that should give us the current set of user databases that we are interested in. In our database, we switch over to this. Bother. Okay, that should do the trick. Let's make sure that a normal, unrelated test passes. Okay. Let's find out what happens now when I okay, what do we got? Subject is not defined, line 50. Oh. Okay. Seems there should be what? How many users do we have? We have 2 and 5 users, which means, yep, 5 cross follows. Test social graph failed. Okay, to be expected so far. Let's find out what happens when we test the user feed loading. Because that should work. Indeed it did. Okay, that's good. So our cross-server synchronization appears to be working. Now we're in the business of cross-server indexing. And that's where the rest of our work will now go. We also need to think about how to deal with unloading after an unfollow, which I think we'll hit next and then call that our next commit. Yeah. So perhaps somewhat as expected, the thread, because it's not indexing across servers, is not getting the full amount of information. Okay. This is actually not terribly hard to do. Basically, we take our current list of user IDs, and we iterate through them. And now we just need a teardown function. Does the remote hypercore support the close method. Nope. It does. Okay, that should do it for that. Now, the problem that we have to deal with here is a timing issue, which will probably cause this to fail. Or that. Because we're asynchronously loading and unloading these user databases in reaction to the changes, which means it's very easy to have a timing problem emerge. Yep. Now, if I adjust and add some weighting, that should fix the problem. But I don't know if I want to stick with that. I need to reverse that. It's intriguing. An assertion is still pending. Okay. And it worked without the waiting, so that's kind of a fortunate timing moment, which probably shouldn't depend on. But I'm going to leave it for now. You know what that means.
Citizen.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so next up we need to start doing secondary indexing on external user databases. And I'm going to pop over to the corner store real quick before we get started. Give myself a small break. It is Thursday and all, and I'm starting to feel the end of the week slowdown. So I'm going to put on our taking a break card here and be back in about 10 minutes. And we're back. So the secondary indexing stories. Yeah. I love the text in the code in that away screen. It's always funny whenever people making video assets for movies or whatever, they need like some code to like scroll down like that. So they're like, I don't know, put some HTML in there. That's what I want to do. I want to make a movie where there's a hacker and they show his screen, he's cracking into the system, writing HTML furiously. One second, I need to center this div. Got it, I'm in. Alright, so, they're just scrolling through Web Inspector. Love it. So the per user secondary indexes are not difficult to construct. Yeah, throw in some Unicode. Hackers love Unicode. It's these three right here: comment, follow, and vote that we have to do. It will mirror these pretty closely. So that's not really the hard part. The hard part is wrapping our head around how we want to deal with the two different kinds of indexes. I talked about this a little bit on the last stream. We have indexes which are produced based on a per user basis, based on who you're following. And then we have indexes that are produced for all of the server activity. And as an end user, that means you basically have one secondary index, which is your personal one, and then potentially any number of server indexes that you're interested in. And figuring out how the system behaves around this in particular has pretty big implications around the UX. A simple answer to this would be to have your home server merge together, your personal indexes and the server activity indexes, which would make some amount of sense. And then we could have the any other servers that you're following, you'd fetch them separately and show them separately. Another way we could do it is we could keep them all separate. So you ask your home server for your personal index, or you could ask it for the server index. But the implications this has is like, you know, you're trying to figure out how to represent in the client the activity on a given post. And if the indexes that are given by the servers always indicate, you know, a ID, a global ID for the piece of activity, merging the data sets together is not a problem. So like what that means is if I want to get the vote count on a post, I can't just ask for a number. I need a list of the user IDs that made the votes so that I can correctly merge together multiple data sets. That becomes a little bit of a problem when you start talking about any kind of scale. That would mean, if there's 1,000 users, 1,000 votes on something, you're pulling in 1,000 user IDs. It's not super efficient that way. So another way you could do it is by intentionally not trying to merge together result sets or indexing, indexes from multiple origins. And in the UI, have it say things like comments by people in server.com. And on the vote count, it would be like 15 upvotes from server.com, 13 upvotes from people you follow. Multiple numbers. Which is actually an interesting idea, because you're sort of giving identity to the different communities. It's something I talked about way at the beginning of the stream. Like on day 1 or 2 or something like that. But then, you're going to have to make a UI for that. Might get a little dense. Also, people that you follow individually, their votes would get, overlapping, but that's not a huge deal. Okay, well, why don't we just go ahead and start producing the per user secondary indexes, and then what we can do is answer these hard questions later. So that all looks like a direct copy over. That all looks fine. That part's interesting. So we're subscribing to more, the individual user database is subscribed to all of the users in the server because of notifications. So we probably need to answer that by basically filtering out who we're indexing. That's going to have some complexities. Basically, it's very easy for the metadata to fall out of sync in terms of what the indexer is tracking. Because, like, let's say we do what I just suggested. Filter out anything that's not personally followed by the user. Let's say on the comments. That would mean that because we're subscribed to those databases, the indexing function would get called. We would not react to it in any meaningful way. And then the and then the metadata would get updated saying, yep, that got indexed. So then if I did follow the person later, now you're getting, now that data wouldn't get indexed. But an interesting thought, what if we had no server, or what if we, this problem I have of merging the indexes, we could just have the users indexing everybody on the server and everybody that they follow. Which should that be a right up from? It should be. So then this would cause that merging question to be answered at the point of index. It'd mean there'd be a lot of duplicated indexes, which isn't great. Certainly not super efficient. But it is simple, and I like simple. I do like simple. I think we're going to do it that way. Yeah. At least for now. I mean, the other option is we change the private user indexes to only index people that they follow, and then create a notifications index that's server-based, and merge. That also might be a good idea because you're going to be needing to ask multiple servers for notifications for you. Yeah, that might be what we need to do, actually. So we need to take this It's tragic because I was very excited to have life be easier without having to do read time merges, but I just don't think that's an option for us. So that means we need to add a notification index to the public server database. And we're now in the territory of duplicate index definitions. Which is something we'll have to deal with later. The index definition will be slightly different. And we need to update the locks to be per database across the board. Actually, we don't need to do that because this database only watches its own users. So we don't need to filter out like that. Nope, don't need to do that either. We also need a monotonic timestamp, which I believe Dominic Tarr created one. Lexicographic. Isn't that a word? Monotonic lexicographic timestamp. Come back to that. I'm going to make some notes for myself. To do database specific block mechanism. Use MLTS on all. Okay, don't forget to do those things. A little cleanup there. So. now the server creates a notifications index which is aggregated for all of its own users. And the key space is addressed by the database key of the target of the notification, followed by a timestamp. So everything should work as before, except that notifications you're going to need to pass in a user ID. No, you don't need to pass in a user ID. We'll use the user ID of the user. So then what we need to do is const db key equals I think we know the database URL on the client.auth. Yes, we do, so I don't need to do that. And then we need to modify what is the maximum value? I suppose that would be that. So basically we need to, in order to make this work, we just have to modify the queries against the notifications list to subset in the key range of the user's URL. And we might need to be sensitive to whether or not reverse is being applied. This kind of thing should be familiar to anybody that has done level DB work before. So if we are successful, then the notifications code should work. It failed dismally. Okay. Can't read get of undefined. Line 88 of user. votes. That user ID is not defined. That's an easy one. Line 37. Subject.db URL. Close. So what are we missing? Follows are in there. Comments are in there. Votes are in there. Okay, so we should see a downvote by 3 downvotes by Carla. And then 3 upvotes by Alice. And then what's this? Aha. The notifications are including, yeah, they need to filter out stuff that you do to yourself. Simple bug. So probably not going to be a lot of self-following, but might as well guard against that. Great. So, our server is now producing a notifications index, which is public, but that's not a big deal because it's all public activity. But this is actually how I should have done it in the first place, because now this basically allows you to say, hey, server2.com, give me any notifications from users in your community about me. And And I should go ahead and commit this. Which means, of course,
CTZN.
It's kind of like an RPG. It's like a level up event on an RPG. Okay. So now we have to think about dealing with the per user. Sorry, Charlie. I know, I need to fix the audio levels on the commit push thing. We were talking about this earlier, it's way too high. So the good news is we've answered all the really hard problems that we came into today with. And the only remaining problem, which is an interesting one, is deciding how to sort of change these APIs. Because so for notifications.list, for example, which index should I ask for? My personal index or the server index? Same with posts, same with comments. Anytime I'm using a secondary index, I need a way to specify whether I want the server's index or my personal one. Or, yeah, I think that's how we want to do this. You know, alternatively, we could set it up so that basically we need to decide where index merging should occur. We could do it where if you're signed in and you're on your home server, the home server automatically merges the server index and your personal index. So then the server would have to be aware that they are the home server for somebody in order to know to do that. Alternatively, we could keep them separate. So the application will just ask for 2 different indexes every time. Which means more network round trips. It's also bad for caching. I'm going to use the restroom while I contemplate this. feel like the merge should happen on the server. Yeah. Hey, Stefan, welcome back to the stream. If you want to see our new video cues, do playback at the beginning. We got a couple of new video cues. Okay. So let's identify where these merges will need to occur. The home feed already does that. It's actually not using a secondary index. Which may need to change. Fetch comment count will need to change. Fetch votes will need to change. What's up, baby? Oh, we got a cat on the stream. What do you want? Need a video cue for that too. So fetch author will work the same always. Fetch votes. What keyboard am I using? It is very clickety. It's a Red Dragon. Yeah, Red Dragon K556. It's got your nice, RGB LEDs that respond to keyboard. I like it quite a bit. When you say it's red only, do you mean that's how you've configured the RGB, the LED scheme? Only red LEDs. Yeah, I can understand wanting to save some money. I do love the rainbow colors, though. I also have LED strip right underneath my desk. It's constantly cycling through kind of rainbow colors. Yeah, my apartment gets... Hang on, let me see if I can find this video. I love how I've got my apartment set up for nighttime. Alright, check this out. Gets pretty wild. The colors do help me type faster. It's like putting racing stripes and flames on your car. Speeds you right up. It's hard to believe, but I think we're actually about to have this thing more or less solved. It is a useful skill. Let's see what I can do. Okay. Ready, set, go. 110. Oh, 105 on average. Oh no, it's giving me 109 up there. But with the errors, 105. Whew. It's got me at pro. Tricky keys. Oh, I have some tricky keys. U, D, G, and O. I can understand O being a little tricky, but U, D, and G are right near the home, so that's surprising. What were we doing? We supposed to be working? Okay, yeah, QWERTY. US QWERTY. I was dating somebody for a while who decided to go for Dvorak. And I do not personally believe that was wise. Folks that know me probably can guess who I'm talking about. Yeah, she ate the pamphlet on Dvorak being a faster approach. I'm not being a hater or anything, but I think it was a regrettable. Oh, you know what was really a bummer is anytime she would come over to use my computer, or I would go over to hers, sit down, like, oh my gosh, what is this typing layout? It was the worst. Created a cross-computer compatibility problem. Is the Belgium keyboard easier to work with? No. I'm pretty sure if you gave me any keyboard layout other than QWERTY, I would be done. Just couldn't do a thing with it. I'm quite sure of that. Quartz. I've never even heard of quartz. Isn't quartz Just a really common kind of stone. Oh, right, quartz. Hadunt. Alright. Y and Z are the only ones switched around. Dear God, why would you do that? That sounds terrible. Why would you do that to yourself? That just sounds like somebody trolling you, like, hey, I switched 2 random keys on your keyboard. Okay. Y'all hear me now? Yeah, Blue Yeti. Looks like the system just kind of froze up some of the, maybe the drivers around the audio inputs when I unplugged my headphones. Weird. Oh, Blue Yeti. Okay, so I think that's comments done. It's a Blue Yeti issue. Good microphone for the price. I'm very quiet now. Okay, better? Oh wait, that's the webcam. Alright, how about now? Is that better? Still quiet. Really? Let's make sure... Wait, you just said yes. Are we better now? Test, test, test. Does the audio level sound right to y'all? How we doing? It's good. Thank you. Okay, there's a delay in the chat. Sorry, it's hard to tell what y'all are responding to. Okay, what the heck are we doing? Okay, so posts and comments should now be merging those indexes. So now we need to do the same for the follows. I have to say, I'm pretty happy so far with how this is coming out. I was really dreading this part of it, and sometimes I'll get some work done which I don't feel good about, but like, okay, it works. But this I'm actually feeling pretty good about. Okay, that's follows. Now we have to hit notifications. This one will be a little trickier. Let's hit votes first. That just leaves notifications. Test. Okay. It looks like maybe that the cursor lag I'm getting is related to... It may either be the Yeti starting to die, or maybe just the system is getting overloaded for some reason, and that triggers a Yeti death. Still getting some pretty bad cursor lag. Okay. Really? Jeez. Come on, computer. Hey Lars, welcome to the stream. Just dealing with a couple technical issues here. Don't know if I'm just like suffering from the load of everything I'm doing. Meanwhile, Matthias keeps telling me about his how he got the M1 and how badly I need to get it. Clearly I do. Okay, so the notifications merge is a pain. Not terrible, but not great. It's one of those situations where you... Oh, come on, computer. Okay. I'm gonna have to keep OBS minimized so that it's not having to produce the video output. Try to reduce some load there. That seems to be the only thing that helps at the moment. Is my memory pressure the problem? It's not that high. Huh. Yeah, I'm really not sure what could be causing all the problems. Oh, gosh. Okay, you should be able to hear me again. But it's probably pretty quiet. So now the camera should be back. It's pretty laggy. I can see it being laggy, but maybe it'll catch up for us. Come on, buddy. Yeah, I'm watching it now. It's just brutally slow. Gosh. We may have to get rid of video for now. No, I'm sure I have a version that is just the screen. I don't think this is a process usage problem on the shop. I mean, if I'm looking at the system info here, it's not the load. Okay, I'm about to plug in the headphones. Let me know if it's better. Okay, is that slightly clearer audio, or was there no change? Well, let me know if this is no change. Okay, 1 second. Oh, come on. Okay, what about now on the audio? Is that any different? A little clear, little better to hear? Yes, no? Audio's fine? Okay, let's just try to get through the rest of the stream. Scratch the mic, I don't know what you mean by that. Oh, okay. Well, as long as y'all can hear me okay. We only have 30 more minutes to get through here. We just need to get to the end of doing the notifications bit. So, I'm going to change the API to this thing to be much more limited. You pass in a possible date time for an after. I think that'll be how we do that. I'm going to take all of this, cut it, bring it into, where are we at? Okay, there we are. Actually, I'm going to remove the limit as well. So just after. It's just going to give the same amount every time. And if you need more, you can ask for more. Didn't really need to do that. This bit needs to be over here. I'll go ahead and put this. Come on, computer, you can get through this. If this thing doesn't start to clean up a little bit soon, we may have to end the stream early, which would be a real shame. Because we're so close. We are right on the cusp here. So we have the okay, and then what do we do? We need to it's virtual co-working. Works out pretty good. So if they specify an after, you need to get Hackerspace ASMR. Right up until I run that sound cue and blow your blow the vibes out. I need this guy here. And if there's an after, then it would be here. So then for the user stuff, let's make sure that the user database is also using that. It's not. So we need to update the user database to also use the monotonic lexicographic timestamp. And okay. Then we need to merge and do a unique, which we have to do slightly differently. Probably a really simple JS reduce unique. Probably use a reducer for this. Could do it that way. Yeah, that's probably the simplest answer. Okay. So let's see which of our tests we broke. Right away. Create posts. Yeah, let's see here. Okay, comments are broken. Let's take a look at what's going on. Failed at line 59. Just not getting anything at all. Comments. Okay. So our fetch comments function is broken. It's probably an error here. Let's take a look. You know, this stuff actually doesn't need to be wrapped in that try catch. It's suppressing like that. So they're both coming out null, huh? Ah. Wait a minute. Fetch comments. That's why. Sweet. So comments working again. try follows. That should be fine. Not fine. Line 35. That's because these are now dev1.localhost. Huh. No. Okay. Let's not guess. Kitty cat. What can I do for you? What you crying for? No food? We're almost done with the stream kit. Okay, that fixed follows. Of course, Oats is broken. Let's see if it's the same issue I had before. It is. Ah! Come on, kid, let me. Ouch. Yeesh, I am inconsistent at the moment. Come on, kid, set it. Okay, she's leaving me alone. Okay, so why are votes failing? Let's see. What line is it that's failing? It's line 34. Get votes for subject. Okay. Ah, yep. That's what I get for wrapping in a try-catch and suppressing. Okay. Profiles is good. User ID lookup is good. All right, it's time for the real test. Have we accomplished cross server distributed indexing? Okay, not quite. What do we got? Filer IDs ought to be a string. Why would follower ID be wrong? Aha! Because we haven't updated our user DB index. Okay. So, to fix that, I'm going to go over here. Okay, that fixed that. Did I update the follow graph? I did, so that should be correct. Let's start with that. Yeah, Lars, I do that exactly for that reason. So this user is following zero, everybody. 1, 2, 3, yeah. 0, 1, 2, 3. But we're only getting 2 and 3. So it's not getting the cross server indexes. Would love to get this before the clock runs out on us. Okay, gotta get rid of all that logging. Okay, what did I do? Can't read follower IDs if undefined. It's a sign that something's amiss. Ah. Okay, that looks wrong right there. What is that about? Why would there be 2 puts in a row, one of them correct and one of them incorrect? It seems like the same change is getting a double reaction. Actually, that's not surprising necessarily, because there's some inefficiency on that front. And it is locking properly. Okay, I'm trying to hold off using the bad things which are runtime, but I can't wait. 1 second. So it is properly locking. So it is a, transactional. Is it possible that the subject.user ID is wrong from one run to another? No, that's consistent. That's interesting. Why would that come out null? Let's get rid of that catch. Huh. They're two separate databases. Okay. Hmm. So it's not that it's getting doubly indexed, which now that I reflect on it, definitely would be incorrect if that were the case. It just appears to be let me try something. There's asynchrony involved now. Perhaps that's, no, it doesn't look like that's the problem. I had to guess, actually. What I would guess is that the indexing is not playing catch up. Let's do this. get a good look at our data set. And I'm going to have to stop very shortly, unfortunately. Right when we're in the good part. Okay, let's see what we got. Oh, indexing was happening very late. That's bizarre. So at the point that we started doing outputting information. Huh. Well, let's take a look real quick just to confirm. We get a snapshot of where the data is at. That's a lot. So, user 1's follows for, user 0 follows for user 0. All correct, of course. But the followers is wrong. It's short by quite a few. Let's see if he has the follows for... Everybody should be able to get the follows for everybody else without a problem. Like if I jump to user 0's follows for... Yeah. That's not a problem because they're consulting the original database for them. Yeah, so the timing is just totally off here because we're starting to get indexing during the reads. I wonder if this has to do with... Well, unfortunately, I got to stop here because I'm out of time. But it looks like what's occurring is that our distributed indexing is just coming at an unusual rate. Because we're right here in the middle of outputting the current indexes, which if you look at our code, that's after running all the follows and waiting 3 seconds. So in this period here, where we're starting to list out the contents of the indexes, this log is starting to index more data. Which you can see right here. So that seems to suggest that whatever our logic is for triggering the indexing process cross-server is being a little bit unreliable. You may need to have some kind of debug function to improve on that. Depends on why this is happening. It could just be the sort of network being taking its time. But that would be a little surprising because this is just 2 local hosted servers communicating with each other. Could be that I just need to have some kind of code involved that's forcing the indexing to, the kind of synchronization to occur. So we're going to have to leave it there for now. In 20 minutes, the DAT ConCom is going to start, which is why I got to go. Here's a link to it here. So please feel free to join us. We're going to be talking about a hypercore protocol inside of browsers, like in Beaker. So please join us. And I'm going to play our outro, which is also our intro. And that'll wrap up the stream. Depending on how I'm feeling, if I've got a lot of energy left, I would love to finish this up, because this, we get this done and we are there, We are past the hard parts. So if I'm really feeling it, I might resume later today. Alright, time for that outro. And I'll catch y'all next time.
Citizens.